Our rosters for this match will be banning for Shreddin. It was only Zed, also team captain. Rise Stone is the second pick, followed by picks from Unihorny and Unihorny and Thanius1. Thanius1. Let me know in Twitch chat if that's right or wrong, Thanius. And then on red, we have the God Squad. Captain and banning Eddie the God, followed by picks from Andrew the God, Erebus, and Broadskin. Thanks to all you guys who are tuning in right now, who are in the lobby. 2 bans out thus far. Sona taken out by It Was Only Zed. And Lux taken out by Eddie the God. Not bad bans thus far. These are 2 power bans. This shows that these guys know how to play on this map. They know the champions that are good and the champions that are bad. I think that Sona and Lux are 2 power bans, just 2 champions that neither of these teams even want to have to deal with. And when you see bans like Xerath, Ziggs, Lux, Sona, you know, those are just champions that people say, you know what, we don't want to have to deal with that. We not only do we want to give it up, but we just don't even want to have it in play. Now, the second ban coming out from Shreddin is actually going to end up being a Bard. And Bard is a champion we haven't even seen a single time here in the Draft Labs tournament series. And I don't disagree with that. I think he's much better in 5v5 on the Howling Abyss than he is 4v4. He just doesn't bring the damage. He literally brings like 0 damage, and he's very difficult to build. So the Bard ban is actually not one that I totally agree with. It wouldn't be a bad idea to kind of give him up to the enemy squad, but who knows? I mean, he's still strong. He's still got all this playability in his ultimate, and he could easily come out on top for a team, but in my experience, I think I've played him much better, and I think he's had a much easier time on 5v5s than he would on 4v4s. You would have to really build a squad around him, like everybody being built around the Bard ultimate in order to really make it viable. And that's a Xerath being banned out third by Shreddin, and Morgana and Janna as their second and third from the God Squad. More good bans. The God Squad, Lux, Morgana, Janna. These are pretty good bans. These are solid bans, you guys. These are, you know, all power bans all across the board. It was only Zed. The Bard is, you know, kind of a pop ban, you could say, considering the fact that he's new, he's popular, everybody wants to play him, but as I said, we haven't seen him a single time in the tournament series since he was released. We haven't even seen him, we've seen him once in the Open Lobby series, as a matter of fact. First lock-in for It Was Only Zed is going to come quick. It's going to end up being a Jinx. And now's a good time for me to plug you guys into this this chart that's in the center of your screen. This chart is called our Style Stats Team Composition Strength Calculator. This is a radar chart that is producing 2 shapes, one for each team, red for red, blue for blue, and these shapes will help us compare the strengths of each squad based on these 6 criteria: disengage, engage, nuke, wave clear, siege, and poke. You can see that it's Jinx solo chart up on the screen right now. She brings a very nice bottom left side heavy chart, very heavy on the siege and very well rounded in the rest of the stats. So Jinx is a very strong pick, one that Team AMAM love to prioritize, and one that we can't expect to have Team AMAM given can't expect to be given to Team AMAM very much more often. First 2 lock-ins coming out from the God Squad. Eddie the God taking the Soraka, and Andrew the God taking the Ziggs. Now the Xerath was banned out, but the Ziggs was left available. Good call on his part to snag this Ziggs, because it's really, as we all know, Ziggs is the Xerath counter, Xerath is the Ziggs counter. That you have them both in the game, then you even things out. You have them both banned out, then you even things out. If one of them is banned and the other one is available, then you're really leaving a lot of power to your squad by even just picking one, because Ziggs, the wave clear in combination with the poke and the nuke damage for him is just incredibly strong on this map, and the same goes for Xerath, brings out pretty much the same exact stats. And you can see red team with these 2 picks are really leaning towards that bottom left side of the chart. This is kind of a quick winning composition. Soraka not really bringing as much to the chart as Ziggs is, but still contributes. Next 2 lock-ins for Shreddin, going to be Rise Stone taking that Lissandra, and Uni taking the Kale. That's a surprising pick here, considering what has come out from the God Squad so far. Kale is more of a counter pick, at least in my opinion. Kale is usually in the realm of counter pick. You know, you have these really heavy nukers coming out from the enemy team, Zeds, you know, these big burst damage champions. Then you want to take the Kale in order to counter out that burst damage. You'll fizz, things like that. But in this case, I guess they're just going for some sort of team fight priority. You know, some sort of team fight prowess here with their squad by bringing in that great AoE damage from the Kale, as well as bringing in a little bit of heals on top. But the heals from the Kale are negligible, especially after patch 5.0. Last 2 lock-ins coming out from the God Squad. They're taking the Alistair And the Ezreal. See, now the Ezreal is a champion that I would have picked here instead of the Kayle. I think the Lissandra is one I always agree with. I love the Lissandra on this map. I think she is absolutely phenomenal. I think she is one of the most undiscovered champions. She's becoming more discovered recently, getting more and more play, but it's only because I keep on kind of pounding it into the ground here on stream. Like, please play Lissandra. Please play Lissandra. She's super good. She brings a lot of things that teams really need. So that Lissandra pick was good, but the Kayle, I would have replaced it with the Ezreal if the knowledge was there that Ezreal was available and is very strong on this map. And the last lock-in from Shreddin going to be Thanias. Not Phineas, oh jeez, of course. Thanias taking his Amumu. Now, Amumu is going to push Blue Team's chart up into the top right. The reason he does that is because he brings in these great engaged stats. And this isn't necessarily a bad place for them to be. We have a slow winning composition coming out from a red team here. They've taken Disengage, Poke, and Siege as their three main charts. And then the exact opposite coming out from Blue, from Shreddin, where we have Engage, Nuke, and Wave Clear. So, as I said, Disengage, Poke, Siege, that creates a slow winning composition. It's a very safe composition. You have the Disengage coming from the Alistair, and you have great ranged Poke as well as a few heals to keep your allies sustained coming out from the Soraka. This is a very standard composition here. We see more often, we see the quick pushing compositions come out where you replace the Disengage stat with some Wave Clear so you can get an early lead and kind of shove it into a victory. But here they're just going to be able to play safe, and they're going to keep themselves, they're going to want to keep themselves in the laning phase for as long as possible. Whereas red team, the combination of, or blue team, excuse me, Shreddin, the combination of Engage, Nuke, and Wave Clear creates what we call a tower diving composition. This is a comp that can shove minions underneath the enemy turret and then allow themselves a bunch of time to actually make decisions and jump underneath the turret and then get out if they need to. This is kind of like this is definitely an all-in squad for sure. You have a lot of great burst damage coming out from, you would say Thanias. Early game his burst damage is going to be a little bit better. Later game it's just going to be more of the crowd control. But if we're looking at like a level 6 turret dive, maybe like a level 10, level 11 turret dive, his damage is going to be fine, substantial considering the squishiness of a lot of the champions coming out from red team. Now with the Soraka behind him, going to make it that much more difficult. But the burst damage is still here, and I still have to point it out. Now, the Amumu, decent burst damage. Lissandra going to be great burst damage, and the follow-up in combination with the Kayle ultimate is going to be crucial to allow this team to push forward and actually make those tower dives underneath the turret. Not to mention the follow-up with the mobility coming from the Jinx. That is going to be very important, and this is actually one of the better tower diving compositions I've seen in my time. I think that if Kayle can get her hands onto a Runan's Hurricane and add a few extra wave clear stats to her squad, that would really help them because they are truly in an advantageous position when they have their own minions push underneath the enemy tower and have that opportunity to make a tower dive. I really like what's going on here with this squad. And you could say, the enemy team, they have good disengage. Their disengage is better than the engage coming out from blue. You say, God Squad, disengage better than Shreddin's engage. Well, that's really single target disengage. You have Alistair, who's a fantastic disengager, but he can only disengage one person. And there's multiple champions on blue team, on Shreddin, who can actually make it underneath that tower and capitalize on some sort of all-in effort. So I'm really excited to see how this one plays out. You have a team that wants the game to stay in a laning phase for as long as possible. That's the God Squad. And you have a team that wants to go in and jump in and dive and get fights going as soon as possible. Basically, one team wants to stay laned, the other team wants to exit the laning phase as soon as possible and enter that team fight stage. It is a difficult thing. It's a much more difficult task to transition the game early from laning to team fight than it is to keep the game in laning rather than switching it over to team fight. So I think that Shreddin here, they're in for a pretty difficult task because these tower diving compositions, they look really good, but the execution is much more difficult than some would expect. But considering the champions that they've taken here, this is a really good-looking squad. I mean, this is the type of squad that will truly do well underneath some towers. I think that I really like what they've built here so far. Good crowd control coming out from them as well. I think Amumu in combination with Lissandra, that's plenty. That's all you need, really, because you're really going to be able to get under, either isolate one target or multiple targets. Let's say Amumu goes under and gets himself a nice ultimate off on 2 or 3 members of the enemy squad. That allows Lissandra to come under and either decide to ultimate one of the stragglers who was missed by that ultimate. Say if it's Ziggs or Soraka who ended up being, able to miss or excuse me, it ended up being able to escape the Amumu ultimate, then Lissandra can ult them and then make sure to lock them down for the follow-up from Kayle and Jinx, or would be able to just simply just select really easily between the two enemy champions who did get locked down by that Amumu ultimate. I have a lot of confidence in the squad coming out from Shreddin here, but at the same time, you have to really give some respect to the standard format that's coming out from the God Squad's composition. This is a very standard meta comp, and these are the types that we're going to see win more often here in the Draft Labs tournament series than any other. Here we go, you guys. We have loaded onto the Abyss. Once again, we have Team Shreddin on blue side and the God Squad on red. This is game 1 of our set today, the Draft Labs tournament series. Shreddin taking a nice tower diving, aggressive composition. The God Squad taking a very standard laning phase, slow winning composition. They will be able to whittle the enemy down, whittle the enemy towers down, and as long as they aren't just getting aced, then they should be fine. Easier said than done against a Lissandra and an Amumu. And a Jinx, as a matter of fact. The Jinx is really the cherry on top for this squad here. Just the follow-up and the mobility she gets from getting excited is just incredible. Now it looks like the God Squad are going to get 3 members inside that bush. We also have 3 members here, 4 members as a matter of fact available for both teams. Broadskin, he's sitting back and really concede this. I think if Broadskin had been forward and thrown out some more Qs, they wouldn't have had to concede that early bush control so quickly. But now that all the members are reforming, things are going to go back even. There we go. Broadskin, right as soon as he moves forward, the enemy team has to respect that early game Ezreal. Respect a level 3 Ezreal. There's an engage from Rise Stone. He locks down Andrew, but there's big disengage coming out. Rise Stone going to drop first. That's the first blood. Now Andrew, he's forced into a flash and a heal. There is follow-up coming from Team Shreddin, but they're not quite able to pick much up from that early game skirmish. It was a decent engage, but the disengage came out from Erebus was perfect. He threw on the headbutt on Lissandra first, then saved the knockup for the remaining members when they tried to follow up later. Well played by Erebus. Does a great job there. Erebus. Another nice stun coming out from Thanias. Not quite able to make much happen. Beautiful headbutt back into the silence as well, and that's going to allow Unicorn to get locked up and taken down. Second blood now going over in favor of the God Squad. Now they can finally go aggressive. There's 1 member of Shreddin down. And Alistair can really play this one forward. Try to zone out the enemy members, make sure they don't get much CS, at least here early. Want to get his team a nice experience lead so they hit those level 6s first. And then should really be able to negate the engaged potential coming out from Team Shreddin. It's very important for the God Squad here to hit those level 6s first if they want to be able to really make big things happen in this game and come out and utilize this composition they have to the best of its capabilities. The reason I say that is because if the early level 6 comes for Shreddin, then they're going to be able to use them right off the bat, and the God Squad won't be ready. There's just so many great ultimates. The level 6 is much stronger coming out from the God Squad, or from Shreddin than it is the God Squad. Now Unicorn, once again locked in, gets crowd control chained back in the back of the enemy squad. Lots of synergy coming out from these players on the God Squad thus far. Unicorn forced into a flash and a heal once again. Barely any summoners still available for Team Shreddin, but the God Squad sitting on plenty. Things a little bit stale at the moment. It's both teams fighting for some sort of wave clear advantage. Now, the positioning from the God Squad is going to force the wave clear advantage for blue team to be used defensively. This is not where they want to be using it. Now, their engage stats are very strong, and they can still make big plays, but the place that they're really going to be able to take the game over the top is when they have those minions pushed into the enemy turret. They're able to siege as well as tower dive in, make those big engages at the same time. That's going to be very important for them, and here it looks like they're put into a position where they're not going to be able to push the enemy minions, or excuse me, push their own minions underneath the enemy tower. Four minutes, 6 seconds in. This relic should be coming back up here pretty soon. Gonna help everybody get topped off. Zed should really be looking for that one after this wave ends up getting cleared out. Taking a decent bit of damage as well as being very low on mana. It's very important that this Jinx gets the relic as soon as possible. Level 5s almost all across the board. Rise Stone the only one lacking at this point. You can see the team healths are heavily in favor of the God Squad, where Soraka has been put into a position where she can really make things happen. This is kind of my ideal Soraka composition, where you have an Alistar as your front line, providing you that little bit of health that you need in order to actually be able to consistently throw out your heals and keep your team topped off. It is such an important thing when you're playing as a Soraka that you have another healer on your squad, especially in this 4v4 format. Flash engage from Erebus is actually going to end up locking back. It was only Zed. He flashes and barriers instantaneously. Broskin, he's going a little bit too deep. He's getting ignited. He's getting taken very low. And is there a follow-up? There isn't. There's so many heals coming out. He does end up getting dropped though, but that one's traded for Lissandra. Now Eddie the God, he's being taken low. Unihorn, without a flash and without a heal, gets knocked back into the enemy turret, taken extremely low. Eddie the God snags that kill with a banana, and now the chase is on for the God Squad. Thanias looking to disengage. Isn't quite able to make too much happen, but the zap from Jinx seals the deal. Well played. Another 2-for-1 now going over in favor of the God Squad. And they're going to increase their lead to 1-4 so far in this match. The early game is absolutely going to go over in favor of the God Squad. They have an early game composition. They have a team that can really take the early game in their favor. The only problem is that they haven't really been taking down any turrets. Once this level 6 hits for all 4 members of Team Shreddin, then things are definitely going to start switching over, and they're going to be able to snag those aces. But it was only Zed getting so low after that nice Ezreal ultimate from Broadskin. It's going to make it that much more difficult for them to engage. And you can see Erebus is looking for some sort of engage on him. There's a big multi-crowd control chain going out there onto the members of the God Squad. Not enough lockdown to actually pick up many kills here. Ezreal does fall as he was left very low. Rise Stone and Unihorn now left on the back lines. One kill was taken in favor of the God Squad in that fight as well. Erebus making a great little decision to run out of the Jinx and the back lines. Actually picks himself up a solo kill there as well. Well played. There was a 3-pointer from the Jinx as well. Ends up just being face-checked by Andrew the God. Eddie the God staying alive through that. Now all the big ultimates except for Kaos are down for Team Shrdn. So they still have one great utility on their squad, but it doesn't necessarily provide any extra damage or crowd control, so it's something that will most likely be held on to at this point until the remainder of those ultimates can come back available. Erebus, he's very low on mana, and Eddie the God ends up actually taking that relic from him. Nice silence there on a Rise Stone, and the follow-up ultimate from Andrew the God ends up hitting 3 with that one, a nice spread of damage. And that's exactly what they need with a squad like this. Just, you know, use those things when you can and whittle the enemy team down low. Use the heals from your Soraka to make sure that you can always at least contest a team fight if it starts. And you'll be solid, because you'll never be losing the game, you'll just consistently be winning. It doesn't matter how fast, you will consistently be winning with a squad like this. Erebus needs to throw out a couple more heals though, man. This guy has really been looking for aggressive positioning and hasn't been in line to actually heal up his teammates. He's kind of putting it all onto the shoulders of Soraka, whereas Soraka uses a lot of her own health to heal her allies. So if Erebus had been casting more heals here, keeping Eddie the God topped off, it would make it so much more easier and so much more safe for the Soraka to actually throw down consistent heals for her squad. And now we're at a point where everybody on the God Squad, uh-oh, this might be an engage here. Thanias, no ultimate available. Not too many available for the God Squad either. All we have is Soraka and Alistar. There we go. This might be an engage. Rise Stone knocked out away from his own engage that he was not able to be capitalized on, considering a beautifully timed headbutt and knock-up combo from Erebus. Team health's about similar right now, but that's going to change as Ed the God is able to throw out some heals, but that's a good relic for him as well. I think Erebus really needs to throw down more E's. We haven't seen him casting him at all. Another nice disruption by Erebus. Does not allow Rise Stone to do anything with that engage. Beautifully done by Erebus. And it seems as though the focus of Lissandra from the Alistar is negating a lot of the engage potential coming out from Team Shreddin here. Lissandra really needs to position herself away from the Alistar to make sure that she can actually get those E's, those Ice Claws, second casted. There's an early ult from Erebus. He's going heavy onto the enemy squad. A lot of burst damage coming out. Erebus snags one kill onto the Lissandra first. Now Thanias, he's taken low. He might end up being dropped here. He does. Broadskin picks up the second kill, and now a team fight victory in favor of the God Squad on the back of Erebus, making a beautiful engage there. Didn't even need to pop his ultimate. He didn't get focused down, or he wasn't even taking any damage or anything. Now Unihorn, he's left into a tough position. You can see Erebus taking so many tower hits. That would have been a good time for the ultimate to drop, but there is a Soraka behind him. Keep that in mind. Here's a possible engage. Rhinestone locks down into the God, does pick up the kill with a big combo. Well done there, and taking out the Soraka is really important because it just negates a lot of the health that these guys are going to get back immediately, and you need an immediate advantage for your squad when you're in a position like this where your team health is down very low. I mean, this is without Soraka coming out from the God squad. Here's an ultimate from Thanias. He locks down Andrew the God. There is a follow-up Jinx ultimate. Nice little pickup here for Team Shreddin thus far, and Rhinestone is enabled to actually make an engage there. Just barely dodges out the Ezreal Q. That's going to be a 2 for 0 now. 3 for 0 in the extended skirmish coming out in favor of Team Shreddin. Now, if it was only Zed, if he was to focus more onto this tower, he might be able to get it down. They have plenty of time to focus onto this tower here. Could have made really big things happen there, but it was only Zed. Ends up moving forward, looking for another kill for his team, and is not able to capitalize on that extensive amount of time they had to siege there with an uncontested Jinx. I mean, that's the prime position for a Jinx to be in. You just got 2 members down. There's one who's still respawning. It's a 1 versus 4, and you can siege the tower freely. It was only Zed. Big mistake, in my opinion, to move forward and not throw down every little bit of damage on that tower that he possibly could. With an AoE-oriented composition like what we're seeing, Thanias possibly looking for another engage. There is follow-up from Rhinestone, but there's no ultimate for either one of them. There is one for Andrew the God, though. He picks himself up an easy kill on a Kayle, who ends up getting locked down with the burst damage to the Nice. He's also forced to disengage as Erebus is looking for a tower dive here. Broadskin only snagging one person with his ultimate as well. As I was saying, with an AoE-oriented composition like this, with an ace-oriented composition, you could say, like what we're seeing from Shreddin, they really need to capitalize on every little bit of damage they can get on the turret at a time, because their turret damage will come in bursts. Now, there's Thanias getting locked down by Erebus once again, making great plays for his squad, being that very annoying Alistar, always there to disrupt whatever it is the enemy team want to do. And Team Shreddin have been left unable to really make any big plays for themselves whenever these ultimates have been down. Thanias, once he gets back, his ultimate's going to be coming back up, but as of right now, Rhinestone and Thanias, their ultimates are on stuttered cooldowns. And what that means is that you're not going to have one big engage from the squad. They're going to be stuttered. They're not going to happen. They're going to happen one at a time, and that's not what you want. You want to go for the aces. You want to go for those combos in this case. Now, this is an important defense for Team Shreddin, because this is the opportunity for the God Squad to take down this tower, and it looks like they're looking for it, but they're not going to find it. They still got some decent damage down, and there still was punishment there going on to Team Shreddin. Now, if the Nias has the ultimate available, there needs to be some follow-up from Lissandra, but Lissandra's sitting back waiting for some health. Thank goodness he didn't pop his ultimate. He needs to be a little bit more patient. Lissandra sitting on that relic for some reason. Not sure what's going on with this selection. You can see Lissandra just sitting back. Maybe some lag issues. Maybe his mom made him come down and said, honey, you have to stir the soup. It's dinner time, but I don't know. It's a little bit late for everybody but me. Maybe that's not the case, who knows, but this is a 3 versus 4 defense on a very low tower, and Thanias, Unihorn, and it was only Zed are all caught out a little bit too far forward. They're going to be forced to disengage right away. There's the nice wombo combo coming out. Thanias locks down 3. Rhinestone follows up with an ultimate onto Eddie the God. There is an ultimate onto Rhinestone as well from Kayle. This is 1 so far in favor of Team Shred. Make that 2. This might be the ace for them. It was only Zed. Needs some more mana, though. Is not going to be able to make too many things happen. Double. And an ace for Team Shreddin. Well played on their part, and that's exactly what they wanted to do. That might have been some some strategies coming out from Rhinestone before that fight, sitting back, allowing the enemy team to take down the turret beforehand. You can see that he is sitting back, waiting, and he comes back just in time. He might have been allowing them to take this turret, and that's not a terrible idea, to be honest with you. The positioning here is perfect for it, and they were going to lose that tower anyway. Now he utilizes it to get his team a nice advantage where he can go in and engage. Here comes that wombo combo. Thanias, he sees it coming, he turns right back around, gets 3 members of the enemy squad locked down. There's follow-up crowd control from Rhinestone. A big ultimate from It Was Only Zed actually ends up getting body blocked by Erebus there, so not the best use of that, but they're still able to follow up. Good ultimate at the Rhinestone there as well, because he would have been focused shortly after that Ziggs ultimate. You can see that Eddie the God falls first. Good focus from Team Shreddin. Then goes down Broadskin. Excellent. A great focus from them right now. The rotation there and the focus was just perfect. And now it's just cleanup duty for It Was Only Zed. He snags the first reset there off of the Alistar, and it's just going to get sped up even further. And this should be first tower going over for Team Shreddin. Now, I know you guys can see the first tower for blue side up. That's just simply a bug in spectator mode where if you rewind, it brings it back up with 0 health. Just keep in mind that that tower is not alive and is not available. It was only Zed. He gets the first execution here as they're getting a good bit of damage down to this turret. Almost taking it down here. They might be able to snag 2. This is a big, big push. As I said, the turrets and the siege coming out for Team Shreddin is going to come out in bursts, and that was a big burst for them off of a nice ace. It's because they 4 for 0'd in that fight. And a beautiful play there by Rhinestone. If it was in fact the case where he strategized and said, let's let him take the turret, let him get confident, they want to push forward, they're going to want to make something happen right after. Position the remaining members of that squad forward, and then as the enemy team aggressed, he comes in for the counter engage. Really well done. If that was in fact the case. As long as he wasn't starting the suit. There's another engage from Thanias. He's plenty tanky to take some damage, but he can't take quite that much. The KO ult is going to be used there just to keep him alive. Now Unihorn is forced in aggressive, forced out of a heal as well. Rhinestone's in the backlines, but there's already 2 members disengaging. Jinx ult once again getting body blocked by Erebus, and that's going to be another kill going in favor of the God Squad. Now 9-10. That last team fight ended up evening things up, but now the God Squad are coming back with a vengeance. Another kill snag on the Kale with a nice Ziggs ultimate, and Ziggs, his power is going to really come into play here, considering the fact that the God Squad ended up getting ace there. They are the ones who now have the momentum. They came back with full health bars and new items and were able to make a big team fight effort for themselves just to make sure they got the second tower push and were able to actually even this game up. That was not a good ultimate from Rhinestone. Got that puppy on cooldown, yet still ended up going down. That was not the best decision coming out from him. He could have just gone down there and then been back in time to defend this inhibitor, considering the remainder of his allies are here and available to defend this inhibitor. Now, Thanias, he goes in early, pops an ultimate, and actually gets a lot of good damage down. Jinx is there to follow up as well, and snags 2 kills now in favor of the God Squad. They're coming back, and they're looking to make something big happen. This might just be a defensive multi-kill for them, but there is a follow-up stun from Thanias. He flashes forward to take that relic. Was that worth a flash? That's the big question. Does he have more stuns? He needs to consistently be locking down these enemy members. Enter the God is being taken very low. Flashes right into a zap. Ends up getting taken down again. There's still no turrets available. It's a long way for the God Squad to run before they get back to safety, and Enter the God, he might end up getting taken down here. Another ace now in favor of Team Shreddin. These guys are doing a really good job. It was only Zed. He's trying to sustain back up off these minions, but he has an inhibitor to kill. Thanias, he's going to be the only one attacking. Unihorn going to try to make things happen. There's a quick disengage, or a quick, I don't know, you could say defense there from Erebus. And that inhibitor has in fact been defended. Wow, that's very close, you guys. This game is extremely close. 100 gold lead in favor of Team Shreddin now. They've taken a 1-kill lead, and that's really the only source of a gold lead that they've gotten is 1 kill. Very close. After that wave, it actually extends up to a 300 gold lead now, considering that the God Squad still need to take out this next wave. That's going to get evened up here pretty quickly. Back up to a 100 gold lead. Back down to 100 gold, you could say. Extremely close game. 16 minutes in, and we're only 100 gold difference, 1 kill difference. Very interesting. Which team has the momentum right now? We can see team health is in favor of the God Squad fairly heavily, but that hasn't helped them too much in the past. Broskin and Andrew the God really need to not get themselves caught out by these Amumu ultimates, and it's going to come back up really quickly. I mean, as we enter the later phases of these matches, especially if we go into the late game, the cooldown on the ultis here for Team Shreddin, uh-oh, there's a lockdown onto Alistair, but there isn't too much follow-up, and Rhinestone actually ends up getting punished out very heavily there. And it seems as though Shreddin are simply trying to bully out the members of the God Squad simply as a defense. That was just a defensive engage there from Rhinestone, but it ended up coming out as a very uneven trade here. Especially with Soraka behind the God Squad. They're going to be able to make big things happen. Flash forward from Rebus after using the Talisman. There is a counter engage from Thanias, though. The ultimate comes out from Jinx, ends up hitting Eddie the God and Broskin, but the ultimate from Soraka is so much healing. They have so much more health to go through now. Rhinestone, he's being focused down. He's already used his ultimate. He ends up getting dropped, but there is one traded kill onto Soraka, as a matter of fact. It's a 3 versus 3 now. And 2 members, wow, make that a 3 versus 2 as an easy pickup for Ezreal. Now these 2 members pincered in Team Shreddin, looking to not be able to come out of this one. Jinx falls easily to Erebus, who's plenty tanky, and Thanias doesn't have enough damage to defend this one out, and a 4 for 1 now in favor of the God Squad. That was a big team fight as well. It was just a little bit too much for Team Shreddin to handle at this point. You can see the flash engage comes out from Erebus. There's a nice Aegis of Iron Locket of the Iron Solari there to block a lot of damage. But right as soon as they feel as though, yes, we're getting some really good damage down, you know, we're probably going to be able to focus somebody, Eddie the God comes out and says, well, no, I have my ultimate. You're going to have to go through about just as much health as you just went through if you want to be able to beat us out. And it still looks good. Things are still looking really good for Team Shreddin here, but Rise Stone getting taken down first and having used the ultimate so quickly, there's just no follow-up from Rise Stone. Ends up getting dropped first. Now it was only Zed low on mana. Not going to have much to do here. And Erebus and Andrew the God say, well, we're just going to kind of move back here. We're going to move towards your base, and we're going to pincer out the remaining members of your squad. There's no way you're going to get past Broadskin, or there's no way you're going to be able to, you know, chase him out. So if you're going to chase this Ezreal, they're going to go too far. And if you come back and you want to fight us, you're going to be fighting an Alistar and a Ziggs, and we're going to outplay you. So Kayle ends up falling, and now it's just easy cleanup here for the God squad. Well played. It looks like the first inhibitor of the game is going to go fall down in favor of the God squad. That's exactly what they want, but the later the game goes, the more heavily it's going to be moving in favor of Team Shreddin. But Rhinestone, he's looking to get taken down here. That is going to be the case. Broadskin, easy pickup for him, and a lot of chain crowd control coming out there as well. Andrew the God following up really nicely to Erebus there with his satchel charge. Now Unihorn looking to make a 1 versus 3. If the remaining members of Team Shreddin come out and just simply run in 1 versus 3 at one at a time, then they're gonna get really cleaned up and they're gonna give up the game. It was only Zed actually able to pick up a kill. Big power spike for the Jinx now as well. Doesn't really matter that Jinx is getting stunned out by that or silenced out by that spell, because Jinx will easily be able to simply auto-attack through it. There's 2 kills for Jinx. That's a double kill so far. Broadskin is looking to capitalize, but it was only Jinx. It was only Zed is able to turn around and make another kill out of it. The ultimate does not land, and Eddie the God able to disengage here. Great little bit of individual plays coming out from it. Was only Zed, the captain of Team Shreddin, and they're able to actually pick up a 3 for 0. In the extended skirmish, it was 3 for 1, considering that Unihorn ended up falling, but in the 1 versus 3 there, as it started with it was only Zed, it was a 3 for 1. It was only Zed picking up 2 of those 3 kills as well, as a matter of fact. Really well played. And now Shreddin, they're coming back and they're looking for some vengeance. They want to take down this inhibitor. It was only Zed. Needs to focus this puppy down as quickly as possible and make his way out. Well played here by these guys. They get themselves triple kill, get themselves the evener, and now it's anybody's game. It was only Zed as hit a nice little power spike off that last death, able to go back and buy quite a few items. You can see 5, 3, and 10. Not very many deaths coming out from the Jinx. And somehow, Team Shreddin actually able to pressure out the remaining members of the God Squad. The God Squad are really respecting the ultimates that are available now. Thanias might end up capitalizing on that one double snare, but not quite going to get the opportunity as a lot of disengage comes out from the God Squad. Right now, it's simply a matter of who gets the best engage off. Who gets the best ultimate off. There goes Rise Stone, not going to capitalize on that, and a good silence there from Eddie the God as well. There's an Ezreal ult, ends up catching out Rise, and it was only Zed. 2 priority targets here for Team Shreddin, and Erebus might make an engage out of it. There's another ultimate coming out, actually hitting 4 from Ziggs. They might have time to disengage here, but Alistar is in hot pursuit. He gets a knock up on the 2. Rise Stone being left very low. Forces out the Kayle ultimate. Will there be a counter engage? That's the question. The Jinx ultimate falls, gets some decent damage down, as is the Amumu ultimate, but it's not quite enough. Andrew the God, last ditch effort onto Andrew the God, or excuse me, Lissandra, last ditch effort onto Andrew the God, still isn't quite enough, as now the members of Team Shreddin are getting shredded down to bits. And they end up falling there in the end. Unihorn, the only one left available, as Andrew the God did end up getting taken down there by an Ignite, if I'm not mistaken. It was something in the end. We're going to have to watch that one again, because I didn't see how he ended up falling. I thought it was a 4 for 3 in that fight. You can see that there was not good engages being started here by Team Shreddin. They were able to lock down Andrew the God at least, and Thanias, he exited and entered back in, was able to at least get himself 1 kill here on Andrew the God somehow. I'm not sure how it ended up falling, but he must come back in a little bit too far. It was only Zed, now forced a little bit too far forward. Not quite mobile on the Jinx yet, because there was no kill in favor of their squad. Jinx really thrives on being the team that gets the first kill. There's that kill for Andrew the God. Ends up actually just sacrificing himself to the super minions. That was the case there. And that was a big team fight win here for the God Squad. I don't think it was quite enough for them to take too many things off of it. As you can see, Rise Stone coming back in 7 seconds. They might be able to get some good damage down to the second Nexus turret, but in my opinion, it wasn't quite enough for them to really take a lead or take the game off. But what it does do is it completely negates the ability for Team Shreddin to make another engage after they come back. So this could be the finalizing push here, but it's going to have to happen in a 4 versus 4. More great disruption from Erebus, man. This absolutely countering out this Lissandra. 3 versus 3. Ziggs is making his way back in. He doesn't have his ultimate. He will have it soon, though. And Broadskin, easy pick up for him there as Eddie the God snags a little bit of damage now. Rise Stone once again taken out. There's the Talisman. They're going to be looking for an engage. Still 3 versus 3, but not for long as Ziggs is making his way back. Rise Stone now left too low to be able to make anything happen. There's not very many ultimates available for Team Shreddin, as Kale is in fact dead here. Thanias, he's just looking to get as much damage as he can, but he's taking so much in return. Broadskin able to snag that kill off the Amumu, and that was only Zed moving too far forward. Gonna get taken out with the Lissandra. And a double kill for Broadskin, gonna end in an ace here in favor of the God Squad, and they should be able to push this one back for a victory. The only person left available for the next 20 seconds is Unihorn, and I would expect Erebus to just run underneath this tower and tank it up until they can take it down. A lot of great siege stats coming out from these 3 members. They really should be able to make big things happen. And 10 seconds left on the Lissandra. 7 seconds left on Thanias. They snag one more kill. That's Death Timer Stutter. Can they take the game here? Within the next few seconds, they should be able to. And that's going to be GG now. First game goes over in favor of the God Squad. Well played, well played, well played. That game was a true battle. We had 2 polar opposites here in terms of the team squads, or in terms of the team compositions. As I said, you guys, it's much more difficult to take a laning phase and transition it over into a team fighting phase than it is to take a laning phase and ensure that it stays a laning phase. That's why we see that the engage compositions, the big heavy engage compositions, while they work well, they never really have the, not never really have it, but less often do they actually have the ability to close on games, because it's easier to stop your engage from being awesome than it is to, you know, make an awesome engage, if you know what I mean. 9 out of 10 times in the Draft Labs tournament series, in the Draft Labs Open Lobby series, disengaged compositions beat out the engaged compositions. It's an unfortunate occurrence here. I wish they could be even. You know, and this was one of the best engaged compositions I've seen here in quite some time, as a matter of fact, and it just wasn't quite able to work out in the end. If they had consistently been making really great engages, consistently been getting those first kills down for the Jinx to follow up with, if they consistently been getting themselves the multi-kills, the aces, and they easily could have taken this game. And in the end here, towards the end, it was anybody's game. But right as soon as the God Squad came out and won 2 team fights in a row and kept Team Shreddin from being able to make those good engages, 2 team fights in a row, it was their game to take, and they were able to just push it back into the enemy nexus fairly easily. So congratulations to the God Squad for taking the first match of this set with their standard composition. They played a really great game, and I also got to give special props to Team Shreddin for devising such an excellent composition here. And this is why we run the 4v4 draft format, is because you can make these really cool compositions. If we were to add one more person in there, it would bring in a character type that wouldn't necessarily fit and might be a little bit overboard, if you know what I mean.